Hello and welcome back to Cutie Art Crusaders episode 13 on September 25th, 2012. Thanks again for joining us once again. We hope that you enjoyed our last episode with Joey Darkmeat. He was an awesome guest. We really loved having him. Probably one of my favorite guests so far. Next to Spirit and Lino. Yeah, again, thank you. You were a great guest. We loved having you, man.
Well, I wasn't there, but...
You were there in spirit.
Yeah, you're feeling better though this week, though, aren't you?
I am feeling better.
You passed on.
Awesome. That's good to hear.
I still got a bit of a cough.
You passed on your sickness to rainbow plasma, though.
Yeah.
No. There's a story behind that. The story was he almost forgot to mention my name, so I. He's not the. He almost forgot to mention me, so I almost let him make it.
Yeah, so you were sick last week, so now Rainbow Plasma is sick this week. So Rainbow Plasma isn't going to be joining us for this recording session because he can also barely even speak. Even worse off than you.
Poor guy.
But this week we do have the three of us, and my name is Burned01, and I'm the special guest coordinator, and I'm also joined by my two very awesome other podcast members.
I'm Flutterguy317. I'm the art coordinator and handle any art submissions.
I am Big Dash, and I do all the questions.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah. So like Burn was saying, Rainbow Plasma's not here. Wish him get well, because we miss him.
Maybe you do.
Or send the send money to Pinky Dash to free Rainbow Plasma.
Yeah, ransom.
Funny story. I used to know a kid called Ransom when I was when I was a kid. He wasn't cool. He wasn't cool at all.
Moving on. On that note, let's go ahead and get started. So our theme for this week was weather, which is actually a very, very broad theme. So we had kind of a little bit of difficulty picking some art because there was a wide variety of art that we could choose from. But luckily, we did get art submitted to us by Arimas. This first piece was sent in by him. It's called Hit the Showers by Harwick's Art. And it's Applejack in the rain, and there's some nice dark clouds behind her, foreboding some pretty nasty weather.
And if you've been following the artist that we've been highlighting, this is also the artist that did swimming lessons with the little ducklings that we featured.
They're quite huge.
Yep.
In our water episode.
If you see some really, really, really good sort of art like this, then it's quite likely going to be them. Because they do a lot.
Yeah, they're really, really impressive at what they do.
Yeah.
This piece it's slightly different styled than that Fluttershy duck piece, but it's still absolutely amazing. I can't get over the fact that how Applejack's mane is done, because all the different colors layered in there. It looks pretty awesome.
Yeah, the artist actually always usually does a really cool job with hair. He has a very unique style and how he layers all the colors and overlaps the strokes. Makes the hair really shine.
I love the way that they do water, like this one. I like that other duckling one we did because Applejack was wet. So I know it's going back to a few episodes ago, but whatever.
Well, no, that's the thing is that the theme weather kind of spans all these different other themes that we might have already touched on before. So our water theme kind of plays into weather as well, but this piece kind of fits both, I guess, a little bit better than some other strictly water pieces, just because I think the clouds in the background kind of give it that mystifying, some bad weather is about to come down, and
she's really enjoying herself.
Yes. she's so cute.
Yeah, it's cute with a little hair tie in her mouth too.
Yeah.
By far my favorite part of this piece though is definitely the background and the clouds. Because it doesn't look quite ominous, because how they're swirling, they're in the glow. It's not quite an evil feel. It's kind of like a warm feel, like a summer rain. Like summer evening rain.
Yeah.
It kind of has that kind of light to it rather than a dark, stormy feel. Kind of the back right has maybe the darker blue, but it's not when you think horrible storm, you usually think dull and gray. Where it's just kind of warm. It has the green, has a bright orange.
Yeah, you can sort of tell it looks like it's only just started raining from the way that that he's done that with the sort of the blue sky and then the soft white clouds at the start or at the left hand side, and then it goes gradually gets darker until it's like black on the right hand side. And I don't think if you've been standing in the rain for a while, you'd be A, that happy, or B, still carrying your hair tie in your mouth.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost as if she just took her hair tie out.
Like.
I guess might be the concept.
Letting her hair down in the rain. Yeah, something that I find really cool with the clouds is it goes back to color theory, where you have like in the foreground clouds, the clouds on the left, you have these warm yellow and white colors, and like as you progress gradually to the right hand side, you get these cooler like grays and blues and stuff like that, just kind of giving it a different feel all the way across, but it's all blended really well together.
Yeah, I almost feel like the background is somewhat, it's a different style than what's in the foreground, because you have the really like harsh, bright, very what's the word I'm looking for, non-subtle is the only thing I can think of, like way that the artist uses the strokes, where in the background it's super soft and very subtle. Not really sure how to word that, but it's a really soft background, which is a huge like contradiction to what's in the foreground, like Applejack with their strokes and broad colors, where everything's super soft in the background.
Yeah, the background kind of looks airbrushed in, whereas the foreground's this thick painting.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool, but it's all blended very well. Like,
yeah, definitely.
I guess because the background's done in this different style, Applejack and the foreground kind of stands out because it's it's what's meant to stand out in the picture.
Yeah.
Anything else with this one?
Probably again the artist's unique style in water. The same use you can see the same use in water that you saw in the duckling piece, but it doesn't really look like, it doesn't have a color or anything. It's clear and always has like the white highlights on it, and looks like there's even black highlights around it as well. But it really makes the water stand out on the character, hitting the character, dripping off her hair and stuff like that. So it's funny because the rain hitting her really pops and stands out, but then the rain in the background that's actually falling doesn't stand out as much as what's hitting her around her.
Yeah, it's almost, again, it's like it's basically like two different layers of a picture.
Yeah,
which is really neat.
Also, there's not enough Applejack love.
I know. Yeah, she doesn't get enough love.
Yeah, we definitely don't feature enough Applejack on our show.
We should have looked at Applejack episode.
We also don't feature enough Rarity, I think. And our next piece does feature her.
Hey, segue.
Which is called... It's called...
I saw somebody driving a Segway down a park yesterday.
Really?
It was like a big Segway with like off-road wheels.
Oh, like an off-roading Segway. Cool. Our next piece is called Commission Soviet Rarity by White Diamonds Ltd. And this is kind of, again, weather is a very broad theme. So we're going from rain and like a warm rain to winter and snow.
Yeah.
And this is a really interesting piece. The snow is actually, it's, a lot more detailed than in the show. And you get these big flakes of snow falling down. Yeah. Which is really neat.
It looks a lot more realistic. Although I wouldn't actually know, seeing as I've never actually seen snow in real life.
Australia.
I know. This is probably one of my favorite pieces out of the whole bunch, because I'm a huge fan of White Diamonds and all the work. She makes amazing art. But this style of art, especially the background, it's really unique because it's really realistic, and you have like the shade and shadow and like the light hitting the windows. It creates that real life ominous feel of the buildings, and you have Rarity standing out, and just like the amount of detail White Diamonds puts into like her work, and the hair is always amazing. I mean, the shading on Rarity, and then if you look at the gradients and curls in her hair, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah.
You're right about White Diamonds. They have some amazing work. I've seen quite a few of that.
Definitely go check them out because they're absolutely fantastic.
What was it? Something Spirit was saying in our interview with her in what was that? Our second episode?
Third episode.
Third episode.
Yep.
She was talking about what was it? Atmospheric perspective and how the whole like atmosphere of your piece making how what was she saying? The use of color and the overall tone and atmosphere of your piece. In this one, I think it's a great example for our theme weather because the atmospheric perspective, if I'm using that correctly, it's a very dull white tone, but it still looks as if it's, midday on like a snowy day. Because if you've ever lived anywhere snowy, if it's the middle of the day, it's usually really, really cloudy. But it's still bright. I'm not quite sure how to word it, but I think the overall look and color of the piece is very fitting for the kind of weather that's featured in here.
I don't know. I don't have much to say about snow because I have no idea what it's really like.
It's wet and sticky.
Is it actually sticky?
Yes.
Okay. Today I learned snow is sticky.
Yeah, you can make snowballs out of it.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah. But does it stick to you?
Yes. If you look at Rarity's coat, you can see it sticking to her coat in this piece. Yeah, which is another thing that like White Diamonds does very well is if you look at Rarity's coat, you can see like it looks fuzzy basically, and her hat too.
White Diamonds usually does very well with whatever style she chooses, and her characters and faces are always done really, really well.
And I can't get over the detail in these buildings; it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, right. Not often in White Diamond's work do you get to see backgrounds. Normally it's just like a solid color, but whenever she does do backgrounds, they're usually always amazing. There's just a couple to throw out. She has like a steampunk one, she has a Korra one, and then Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy in the Moonlight. All of which we've looked to feature in episodes we've never managed to work in.
I expect many comments yelling at me for not seeing snow. But hey, it's Australia. There's like no snow anywhere except for like 3 places. In fact, I went to one of the places where it snows last year during summer, and it was ridiculously hot, like 40 plus degrees.
So you still haven't seen snow?
So I still haven't seen snow.
We got to get you up north.
All right, or farther south.
Yeah,
or farther south.
Well, up north of Australia.
You're pretty close to South. What is it? Antarctica.
I don't know if
close.
I don't know if close is the right word.
Like an ocean or so in between you and it, something like that.
Yeah, just swim it. Something that I like I was saying before that I find in this piece that's really fascinating is the way that they did the snow with the different colors, because it gives the snow kind of a depth to it. And you also get these shadows from Rarity and from this tank and stuff.
Something I also feel we have to address. Isn't there like a meme or something that Rarity is a tank or tanks are canon or something or other?
I don't know.
I've heard tanks are canon because of Rainbow Dashes.
Yeah.
I know there's something having to do with Rarity, but...
Yeah, there's a... Okay. Yeah, Rarity on an Abrams meme. Yeah.
I know there's that Soviet pony video.
Oh yeah, that
people come up with the the randomest stuff, but it's amazing. So I think we spent enough time on this piece. It's amazing though. Definitely check out White Diamond's work because they're awesome. So our next piece is called "Ride the Wind" by Sea Puff. And this is a much lighter, brighter theme. Something that really struck us when we saw this is the camera angle, actually.
Yes. I saw this and I just had to include it because I love that camera angle.
It's like a 2001: A Space Odyssey or whatever that film was where they rotate the camera. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I hadn't even thought about it.
But yes, it does relate to weather because there's clouds in the background and it's a very sunny day. You can kind of it's very bright. You can see I don't know if these were intended to be lens flares or pseudo lens flares, but like if you look at the ground, which is on the right and not on the bottom, you can see like white spots. So
it almost looks like it was part of the shading.
That's what it looks like. It sort of looks like the ground. I don't think there's any sort of lens flare in here.
I mean, even the title relates into weather, ride the wind. So clearly she's enjoying herself with a nice breeze or wind.
Yes. And you got this. I keep catching myself like tilting my head.
Yeah,
I know.
which sort of was weird because I'm lying on my bed.
Well, the only thing that makes it creates the illusion of wanting you to tilt your head is just having the bright green on the right, which our brain tells us should be the ground. So, like, overall, if you just put your hand over where the ground is, it just looks like she's doing a barrel roll or just on her back, and you have the clouds. But when you put that bright highlight of the green in there, it tricks your brain into going, this isn't the right angle, like, this isn't supposed to be like this. So it's really cool to see how this piece uses perspective like that and kind of messes with the way that your brain wants to work. And you can do a lot of things like that in your art depending on how you choose to, put something unique. Another really cool artist that frequently plays with perspective is Citra360. He'll constantly take an image or a background and kind of tilt it slightly to give it kind of a dynamic perspective. And you can do that a lot and to create a really deeper, more dynamic feel in the art that you choose. This one doesn't create more like this example, Ride in the Wind, doesn't create really deep example or dynamic example, but it creates a very unique example in how it throws you off and kind of makes you think and makes you want to tilt your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sort of sticks out to you really well. Like it jumps out at you a lot. That's when I was browsing through DeviantArt, I found that a lot.
Yeah, it is a very unique piece.
Yeah.
And actually, I really like the style of like the clouds and stuff, because opposed to like the last two pieces that we just saw, this is it's not minimalistic, but the background is very minimally done. Like there's not that many details in there, but you could still, like, if you step back and look at the clouds, you can, your brain tells you that they're clouds.
What is it? It's a real messy medium. We were talking about that in which episode was that? Our lighting episode?
Shading and lighting.
Yeah, that's
yes.
right. Because this is it's a digital painting. Digital painting and airbrushing is the kind of medium that's done in. So it's all colors blended together, smoothed together and overlapped to create, that cloudy look. And even Rainbow Dash is, layers of color and highlights.
Mm.
Rainbow Dash is adorable.
I also like how they... Yeah, I know. When is she not, though?
It's true.
I like how they use two different types of clouds in this, actually. They have these, I forget the word. The clouds in the stratosphere, the large wispy ones, and then they have these, like, cumulonimbus clouds. I can't remember my weather.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of really cool.
Yeah, it's like sort of like real life, whereas a lot of art that you see is it's only one sort of thing because that's what the artist does. But if you look up in the sky right now, if you were outside or if it was light time like it is here, you'll be able to see there are multiple types of clouds, not just the one type of cloud. Sorry, I lied. There are no clouds in the sky. It hasn't rained here in 2 months.
Oh, yeah, you guys are going through a drought, aren't you?
Yeah, something like that.
Another unique thing that I'd like to point out about this piece is how the artist actually portrays, the ground or the horizon there on the right side of the image. You notice it's not flat. It's actually rounded, and it rounds from the top corner and then all the way to the bottom corner. And then also the clouds are also in kind of like a horizontal angle where the topmost part of the sky is almost in the top left, where the ground's in majority of the bottom right. Yeah. So it also creates that unique perspective. Because normally when you look at a horizon, it would bend the opposite direction, because the Earth is round in the sense that it's in a sphere, whereas this one it's almost round, like a halo around, circling around Rainbow Dash. It makes you want to tilt your head more. I find myself tilting my head towards the ground. Which puts if I were to tilt my head all the way, it puts the ground where the sky would be, which I find odd that it wants to trick me to do that. I think it's the angle that Rainbow Dash is at. I want to make her level, and my head can't exactly tip around the other direction. So.
No, if I put my head sideways, it looks good to me. I like it. It sort of could be bottom. Let me just write myself up again. Bottom right hand side, bottom right of the picture. If you look at it, like it should, like it's like your head wants you to. It looks like it could be going up a mountain or something. And you got that little creek coming down, and then Rainbow Dash is flying. She's like in the middle of a flip upside down.
Yeah.
And her legs are towards the top of the sky.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's how I.
No, it definitely makes it really cool.
Yeah. I kind of like how they did Rainbow Dash's mane and tail. Actually, it looks it kind of looks like Jolly Ranchers or something like that.
It's very bright, vibrant, and highlighted, and it's they come out in like strands. Where when you think like pony hair or mane, in the show sense, when you think pony hair, it's a solid color that bounces, and then sometimes people will like what was it in our last example, Soviet Rarity. White Diamonds, like the hair was very streaky and solid, and it was you could tell like different multiple strands of hair. Where in this one, each almost like tendril of hair comes out. Yeah,
it's an interesting style choice.
She's got she's like a bit thinner than usual. Like if you look at her neck, it's really really thin, but and her head's a big like, balloon. But I like it.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a neat style choice. It's really cool to see what artists will do when they choose to portray characters in their own style, or if they'll choose to stick to really show accurate like White Diamonds does, and then add realism and shading, or make the character skinnier like in this example, or in Joey Dark Meat's case, maybe make the character a little bit more fluffy.
Plump ponies.
Did you guys have anything else that you wanted to point out about this piece?
Not so much. I love it.
Yeah.
This sort of goes back to what you were saying a couple episodes again as well. The background is really, there's no detail in it. The ground, there is no detail in the ground.
Yeah, but again, it's like, it's a painting, so like, paintings somewhat cross over into what I was saying about how you can lack detail, but you still add in a lot. So, that shading and you can see the green brush strokes in the bottom there to add bushes. I mean, whatever your brain wants that to be, it can make it bushes or trees, or it can even make them houses. It just depends on, what you visualize. And then, the clouds, you'll add depth to that, and things, different things. But sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
But with a really messy medium like this, you can definitely get away with something like that. And, there's enough detail in it to where it still looks really well done.
Really well done piece.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on. Kind of on the same, like, messy medium note, our next piece is called MLP Winter to be Wrapped Up by Husi, who we've actually featured on here before in the lighting and shading episode, and with another Day-O Labor, which is also a great piece. And this piece portrays Fluttershy all wrapped up and comfy cozy on top of some snow. And it's kind of a messy medium, because if you look at the snow, and also the way that the trees are done, it's, you can see some brush strokes and stuff, and it is like a digital painting.
There's a lot of color overlapping other color.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it? The artist also plays with transparency a lot, so you can see through a lot of the layers of the snow, like definitely on the trees and kind of on the hill there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what I find interesting is they kind of use some transparent snow over the rock outcropping or the dirt or whatever that.
Yeah, it looks like she's sitting on a rock or a hill, rather.
Yeah.
Yeah. And kind of going back to the Rarity piece, what you were saying, Bernd, where all the colors are kind of matching, and all the colors fit very well. I forget what word you used for that.
Atmospheric perspective was what Spirit was trying to tell us a little bit about in the interview. Hey, Bernd here. Just a little clarification. We actually say atmospheric perspective a lot during this episode. When we were recording, we were under the impression that atmospheric perspective referred to the overall feel and color of an image, but atmospheric perspective actually just refers to the effect that the atmosphere has on appearance of objects when viewed from a distance. So the farther away an object is, like a mountain or something, will be less visible or more blurry or more opaque or more desaturated than something that would be in the foreground. So for instance, if you're looking off onto a vast landscape of mountains, the grass and hills in front of you will be in focus, and then the mountains in the far, far background will be very hard to see or not very visible. And in art, atmospheric perspective refers to how artists will leave objects in the background or things that they want to appear in the distance less detailed. So atmospheric perspective more refers to what we were talking about in our sketching episode, where if you lack detail in certain areas of your piece, the mind will fill in those areas and make them look more detailed than they actually are, and it will create more focus on what you want the subject of your image to be. So this can be a very useful technique when you're trying to add a greater sense of depth to your image, or a greater sense of vastness, or even trying to make your piece seem more dynamic. It's also a very useful compositional tool, because you can use it to adjust where you want the focal point of your image to be. That meaning if you have the background of what your subject is, blurred or less detailed than whatever you have in your foreground, will become the focus of the image and what the viewer will look at. So, just to recap, atmospheric perspective or aerial perspective only refers to the effect that the atmosphere has on the appearance of objects in the distance, and in art, atmospheric perspective refers to how much detail is put on where you want the focus of your image to be, and how detail is actually neglected when you want to create the illusion of depth or distance. So in our Spirit and Lion interview, it actually referred, when we were talking about atmospheric perspective, it actually referred to how Spirit would create the illusion of distance in her background pieces, and it doesn't actually refer to how we use it in this episode, talking about the overall feel and color composition of the two winter images. Hopefully that clears up any confusion about the definition of atmospheric perspective, but if you still have any questions, be sure to let us know through our email, which is cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com.
Yeah, and that also applies to this piece, because it's like a very bleak foreground and background, and Fluttershy is a little bit more desaturated than usual. So it all fits together.
I think she's definitely done really cute, because I would think if it's super, super cold and you want to completely wrap yourself up, Fluttershy would be the kind of pony to use, a scarf around her whole face and a hood to hide her face. She already has her hair to hide behind, so why not add more?
Yeah. And those huge eyes.
Yeah, right.
So cute.
Yes.
I really like the way that he did her mane, which is, it's all just stroked. It kind of comes out as separate strands, but they're kind of thicker than the normal hair
Something
strands.
I noticed with this image, it's almost kind of a critique, but when I was talking about atmospheric perspective and how the whole piece holds true to that, in the Soviet piece, it's kind of a duller gray on like the buildings and then the very background and the tank and her clothes, but you still have that very bright cream colored Rarity and the very bright ultimate of like the white in the snow and then like the white on the roof and the reflection in the window. There's still some brightness to it and some vividness to it. If we go back to Hussy's piece, Winter to be Wrapped Up, you'll notice that there's no real ultimate white in the piece. Everything's kind of a desaturated white. And I think that was caused by when the artist was adding the snow and things like that. It was the transparency was turned down, so it blended with the other colors, making it not that purest white. It looks like the highest amount of white is in the little snow on the rock there, and then in like Fluttershy's eyes. So like the big contrast from Winter to be Wrapped Up to the Soviet Rarity is that Soviet Rarity has kind of a brighter tone to the ultimate white in it, but it still carries that darker gray. But if we go back to the Winter to be Wrapped Up piece, if you kind of step back and look at kind of the bottom portion of the piece, leaving out like the top part of the sky, it's kind of a duller, kind of a it's kind of a duller gray look in how the snow overlaps the blue, and then even in Fluttershy a little bit, where there's no real ultimate bright color. So for weather, it kind of creates that darker, foggy feel almost, instead of like a mid-winter day. Because if you look at the sky, there's no clouds. It's like it's a clear day. So if the sun was up, the sun would be hitting that snow and it would be shining off and be very vibrant. But there's not that really vibrant feel, which I find is odd because in a lot of Hussy's work, there's really super vibrant colors in everything. So I've just found it odd that this piece is kind of contradictory to that, where it's kind of like a duller gray overall feel to the piece.
I wonder, actually, if you look like over the rock, it almost looks like kind of the wind is sweeping the snow a little bit, which would also cause it to be a little duller, I guess is the right word. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I agree with you. It's like if you look at the Soviet Rarity piece, it's like it's almost as if the sun were kind of shining down a little bit more than the Winter to be Wrapped Up, even though the clouds are not really matching.
Yeah, I think the big difference is like in the Soviet Rarity piece, you have like the browns in there and like blacks and almost greens in charcoal feel in like her clothes in the tank, and in Winter to be Wrapped Up, there's a lot of really light blue in it, where you don't find that in the Rarity piece. So there's kind of an interesting contrast in color there. But I think the biggest difference in atmospheric perspective, if I'm doing this correctly, is that in Soviet Rarity, there's that really bright, vibrant white in the ultimate, and then in Winter to be Wrapped Up, there's no real ultimate into it. It's just it's dull, and there's not a lot of excitement there. It's a really low saturation too.
And kind of going back to color theory, just because I love bringing it up. If you look at like the Soviet Rarity piece versus the Winter to be Wrapped Up, Soviet Rarity I think has a little bit more of a warmth to it almost. I mean, it is a winter scene, so it's all like, grays and blues and whites and stuff. But if you look at the building, there's a little bit of yellows in it, and if you look at Rarity, she's got a little bit of a tint to her, which I think makes it a little bit warmer, whereas Winter to be Wrapped Up is a completely cold piece. It's all blues, all grays, and Fluttershy is like completely desaturated.
Yeah, definitely.
Our last piece for today is called Freedom by Imilu. I think that's how you pronounce it. And this is another Rainbow Dash piece, and she looks adorable. So happy. She's swinging from...
We seem to feature Rainbow Dash a lot.
Yeah.
I have no problem.
I see no issues.
Yeah.
I do. It means we're not featuring Pinkie Pie enough.
We haven't featured much of Pinkie Pie. We should change that.
We need to change this for next week.
Yeah.
Oh well. Keep going.
So this piece is, as opposed to our last piece, a very, very warm colored piece, and it's very bright. It's a sunny day. Rainbow Dash is enjoying herself, swinging from who knows what's holding that swing up.
Yeah. I think that's the context. I mean, it's a really surrealist piece to be freedom, to actually be swinging from the sky itself. So it's kind of cool to see that, or to think about that swing coming from nowhere.
I really love the shading and lighting on Rainbow Dash in this piece, actually. Because the sun is coming from behind her, so everything that would be close to you would be in shadow, which it is pretty much.
And you have just the highlights on like the edge of the body,
which is really well done.
Yeah, this is definitely a really cool piece. I love this piece. This piece is actually based off another surrealist piece of art. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but I'll throw it on the screen real quick. But it has a little girl on a swing above an entire city. I'm also not sure what city that is. But this is a really cool emulation of that, where it has Rainbow Dash in the sky, like over clouds. And how the clouds are done is pretty much the exact same kind of style that Rainbow Dash has done, which is really cool to see that kind of matching style rather than opposite style, like in our first piece that we highlighted today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the artist does a really awesome job with it. It has that watercolor feel. There's in this one, what is it? The atmospheric perspective. It's super warm in the sun. Coming from behind Rainbow Dash, where it's projecting, all like radiating from behind her and like hitting the top part of the clouds. And even the purple in the bottom of the clouds still doesn't take away from like the warm feel of it.
Yeah.
So I think this is, as far as weather goes, this has a really like warm scents, probably almost a still feel. There's no real like windy or rainy or other feel to it.
Yeah, definitely. Again, you can see the layering of the clouds, which I think is really neat. It's almost as if in the original piece you have the city, and in this piece you have the clouds are kind of could be Cloudsdale, maybe. And then you have the other clouds above her. Yeah, it's a fantastic piece.
Yeah, this artist actually asked for critiques on her submission, and below there's 2 really good critiques. But I was meaning to give her a critique as well, but I've never gotten around to it. I'd love to try to get the chance to maybe do it here. As far as critiquing goes, the only thing I noticed is, overall I love everything about it. I think it's executed really awesomely. But the major thing that I'm almost sad to see that wasn't presented or carried over was the the perspective and depth that there is on the city in the original, how it goes all the way back into the horizon, and there's the city. It creates that sense of vastness. But if you go back to Freedom, the clouds on the bottom, they're very two-dimensional. It's very flat, so there's no real depth there. There's no vastness. So I think as far as the whole concept of the name goes, Freedom, I mean, it's the concept of her in the sky, changing it like that in the clouds creates that really awesome concept of freedom, but you lose what the original was doing with the looking back onto the city, and also the contrast in colors in the city, where it goes from purple to blue to green, and even in the clouds in the top, where it goes from purple to blue to green, where there's all these abstract colors not supposed to be there. In the Freedom piece, you have you have kind of the purple in the clouds, and then those abstract colors come through in her mane, which I think is done really awesomely.
Yeah.
But as far as critique goes, the only thing that I wish would have been presented more was the vastness in the clouds. So having clouds in the foreground and then clouds all the way into the background, creating a horizon, I think would be a really cool touch that could have been executed awesomely, especially in this artist style.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I have to say.
Nice. Burned with the ranting.
It's always good.
Yep. Yeah, something that I'd like to note about the whole radiating sun thing is, if you look, you can see sunbeams kind of coming through.
Oh yeah, in the original.
In the original and in this one too.
Yeah, in the original they're really prominent and stand out. In this one they're really subtle and soft.
Yeah. Actually, that would be something that a critique that I could offer is it'd be nice to see a little bit more prominence of those, just to give it more this vastness feel, or a joyous kind of feel. Although she is so cute.
Yeah, sometimes it's actually cool to see in the opposites of way in which that's presented. So in this one, the warmness and the beams of the sun is all super soft and gradient. It has a gradient feel over the entirety of the piece, where in the other original, the clouds are very, they stand out, they're really sharp, and the sunbeams are really sharp, where in this one, the whole piece, kind of the background is just that bright glow and just blends all together. And then the clouds on the bottom kind of break up that feel a little bit.
Yeah.
In a good way.
An absolutely amazing piece.
Yeah, and the shading on Rainbow Dash is done. Yeah, absolutely amazing. The shading on Rainbow Dash is done really amazing too, especially in her hair, because we were just talking about hair in some of the other submissions.
Yeah, you can definitely see it's stranded. The hair has strands and stuff like that, and it's all shaded really well.
Yeah,
another really unique style and how it blends.
Yeah, it makes it pretty again. Pretty.
That's all we really do. We get pretty art and we just display it.
We like pretty things here on Cutie Art Crusaders.
That's why we're named Cutie Art Crusaders. And on that note, I think we're done with the art.
I thought we were named after you, but
oh. Okay, on that note, we're definitely on it. All right, it's question time. Thank you, Dash.
Questions we have this week. We didn't actually get any from anyone, so
Aww.
But we do have a couple that we managed to make up, because we do that, and we don't like doing it, so please send us some in. Questions. Number 1 is, what do you find is the hardest part about beginning an art project? Who wants to go first?
Butterguy?
Sure. I guess for me, probably the concept, I guess, is the hardest part of getting started. Just kind of laying out, what I would want in a scene for an original piece. Like for a trace of a show trace or a sketch trace or something like that. It's, there's really no hurdles for me personally, but if I'm trying to sketch out an original piece, it's, you have this concept in your head and it's all just trying to get it out onto the piece of paper or out onto the computer, and fitting things correctly just to begin with is always tough for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having like the vision in your head and trying to convey the vision on whatever medium you're using I find really difficult for myself as well.
Yeah, I don't like it's sort of similar sort of thing. Sorry, words don't work for me very well, but
words are hard.
Words are very hard. I think you know this best out of all of us.
Yes, I do.
It's same sort of thing I keep saying every week. Like, I don't know how someone can make something so amazing and then from nothing. I can't sort of visualize a finished product because I just can't do it. I don't know, words fail me, but that's like I to start something and then I know what I want to end up with and I just can't see it, and I can't see getting from a piece of blank paper or an empty sketch on a vector program to having something amazing. But then you start and you just keep going and keep going and keep going, and it eventually comes up. Cool. Just keep changing things.
Yeah. And again, I like to throw in the little artistic things that I've learned, but something what my art teacher would always say is that it's, for a lot of people, it's almost impossible to have this vision of what you want and then apply it just put it on paper. One of the concepts that he would always say is that in art, you have to just start. You have to start with a basis. Start with just even the most broad-ended concept, and then once you have something on your paper that you can work with, whether it's an undersketch or just ideas, that then once you have something there that's not concrete, that's malleable, then you can go from that step to applying the more finalized steps and get the concept of what you actually want to work with. I don't have the exact words he used, but I mean the gist of it was you can't just take the vision you have in your head and put it on paper. You have to start in small steps and actually start putting something down and then work with it as you go. Yeah,
and you can change stuff as you move on with the piece and stuff, which I find myself doing a lot.
Because when you're first starting a project, I mean, whether it's a sketch, a painting, digital painting, I mean, nothing's concrete. Everything can change and be moved. And I mean, warp it as you make your piece, I think, is a really important thing. Like, when you start and you have your finalized lines, you should never feel like you have to stick to those. I mean, always feel like, it's probably a good habit to just constantly change your mind in the middle of your art piece.
Yeah. Okay, so we done with this one? Next question?
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Because it was relevant to today's episode and because nobody actually sent us any questions, guys, what is your favorite type of weather and why?
Pinky Dash, why don't you go ahead?
I'll go first. I love storms because I'm strange. I love it because, I don't know what it is like for you guys, but where I am, it's really, really hot during the day, and then the storm comes and everything goes cold again, and it cools everything down, and then you get, afterwards, after the rain, you get this awesome smell of just everything just smells amazing after rain. And like the thunder and lightning, it's like, I don't know, how do I explain it? It's like fireworks. It's sensory overload, I guess is the best way to put it. Sort of overstimulation, maybe? I don't know. Sensory overload works best. I'll go with that. Nice. I love it. I can just sit there and just watch. I want to live on top of a mountain so I get to see storms rolling in. Stuff.
You're gonna be like the guru on top of the mountain, just watching the storms.
That's what it could be. I could sit there sipping my tea, meditating, and, ponder the vast wonders of the world, who we are,
or just watch ponies.
Or just watch ponies. I'll do that. Also, storms make me have work, get money.
Nice.
Okay. But
Okay. Let's see. I think my personal favorite kind of weather is snowy, but in a sense that okay, that's a bad way to put it. Let me restart that. I think my favorite kind of weather is sunny but snowy. That's a little contradictory, but I used to live in Anchorage, Alaska, and I lived there up until like sophomore year of high school. But I would always love like the middle of winter or right towards the end of winter when it would snow and there would be fresh snow on the ground, and then and that would happen in the morning or at night. And then when the sun would come up in the afternoon, the sun would be warm and it would create a warm air, and it would just start to melt the snow, but it wouldn't be all slushy. It would still be nice. And I would love to go out and where it's now the sun creates it so it's warm enough to where you can just wear a t-shirt and jeans and not even wear a sweater and just be out there with the sun hitting the snow and making it just amazingly bright and vibrant, pure white, and walking out to where you can still enjoy the warmth, and where you can just clear like the snow off of a rock or something and just sit and enjoy the warmth. I mean, that was a lot of good memories from when I was a kid doing that, because I lived up like in the mountain area above Anchorage. But I think that's my favorite kind of weather because it really connects that for me personally. So that's why I think I liked the Soviet Rarity one so much, because it had that snow, but it wasn't like the cold kind of snow, but it was is that dull snowy day where it's still cloudy but the sun's shining through the clouds, but not enough to melt the snow. It had that feel, so I could kind of relate.
Yeah,
but I think that's my favorite style of weather.
That sounds amazing.
So sunny, I guess, is the correct answer.
Sunny with snow.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Pinky Dash on this one. I do enjoy a storm, but as opposed to him, I like my storms warm. Because I'm up in like northern United States, and it can get kind of cold at times, and our rain is usually kind of cool. But I love it like in the summertime if the rain gets like warm and you can kind of either go out and just dance in the rain or or something like that. And I do love a good thunderstorm, just watching the lightning and thunder and stuff. All right, so I think that wraps up the questions. So
yep, that means we've got some plugging to do. So we have a DeviantArt account, and that's cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com. And if you want to check out any of the art that we featured on the show today, or any of our other episodes, or maybe even some art that didn't make it into some of our shows, you can go check that out, and it's all there in our favorites folder. And we also have an email account, which is cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com. And if you have any questions or any art submissions or some cool art that you think we should feature on the show, or maybe even a nerdy question for me, because Rainbow Plasma isn't really here to stop me from asking for that, you can go ahead and send that into there, and we'll try to either get back to you through the email or feature your question in the show. And we'd really appreciate the feedback and any questions you guys have.
Yeah, please send us questions because we have a hard time coming up with them. So we also have a Twitter, which is at Cutie Art Crusade, and Rainbow Plasma runs that most of the time. But that's usually the best way for getting up to the minute information, like if our show's running late or if they're having issues at Everfree Radio. On the live stream, we'll set it there, and we'll also post reminders about episodes, and who knows, maybe we'll post stuff about conventions if we're going to any in the near future, which would be awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know that I'm personally going to be trying to go to as many conventions as possible, and Rainbow Plasma said he's also going to be trying to go to some more conventions. So we'll definitely take over that Twitter account and be using it if we decide to go out and do conventions, and we'll be tweeting stuff about the Artist Alley, different possible interviews, and maybe pictures of art, what have you. But we'll definitely be using that Twitter account a little bit more, especially if we decide to go to conventions either together or singularly. So definitely if you want some cool on-the-minute updates for like Artist Alley information or anything like that having to do with conventions, definitely add us on Twitter and have access to that.
And we also have a Facebook account, which is Cutie Art Crusaders on Facebook. You could just search for us. We've got quite a few likes, which is amazing. Thank you guys. And I tend to run that for the most part, but as of yet, it's just been posted about the episodes, but maybe we'll start doing some more stuff on there.
Well, that about wraps up our show. Thank you all for watching, and thank you guys all for your support and your feedback. We really appreciate it. We really enjoy doing this, and we're glad that you guys enjoy it too, and that you're showing us that. So, once again, I'm Burndo1.
Flutterguy317.
I'm Bingy Dash.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.